Welcome everybody to this podcast, MedMinds Uncovered. Here at MMU, we strive to share the impactful stories of various medical professionals to change the world for the better. Hosted by Komobi, stay tuned to discover your inner potential.
Welcome back everyone to my podcast where we navigate the lifestyle of medical professionals to inspire our upcoming youth generation. Today, we are honored to have Dr. Steven Yoo here with us today, a board-certified physician in internal medicine who has just finished a fellowship in Hospice and Palliative Medicine at the University of South Florida and has worked in Opta medicine. Dr. Yoo began his journey in medicine after earning his Doctor of Osteopathic Medicine from Touro College of Osteopathic Medicine. He also holds a master's degree in Biomedical Sciences from the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai and Bachelor's in Engineering from Touro. Upon completing his residency in internal medicine at Tripler Army Medical Center in Honolulu, Hawaii, he has over a decade of experience in clinical practice. He spent more than 6 years as a home-based physician with Landmark Health and has held leadership roles such as medical director in the U.S. Army Research Institute of Environmental Medicine. Thank you so much for your service and your time. On top of that, Dr. Yoo has served in the U.S. Army for over 13 years and continues to actively be involved in military medicine, caring for our nation's service and members. Thank you so much for joining us here today, Dr. Yoo. And to start off, can you give us a little insight on your journey through the medical world?
Sure. Well, thank you for having me. Fun to be on. Medicine is something, it's easy to say, it's something I've always wanted to do, right? I think you hear that a lot. And I know I've always wanted to do something science-y, something in that field. And so, and of course, I come from an Asian family. You come from an Asian family. You know the deal, right? So everyone must be a doctor, lawyer, or engineer, right? Right. That's how it has to be, right? From our parents, and that's how it was in my house too. And so, you should be a doctor, right? You should be. And so I was like, no, that's why I went to engineering school. I was like, Mom and Dad, no, I don't want to be a doctor. I'll be an engineer. Right, so I'll be a little bit defiant, right? I'll be an engineer. So I finished engineering school, just finished the degree, and pivoted to medicine. That's how it eventually happened. I didn't have all the prerequisites done for medical school, so biology, chemistry, physics, organic chemistry, et cetera. So that's why I did the master's program at Mount Sinai, and then to get all the prerequisites done, and also further beef up my application to be more attractive to medical schools. And you should also know that before I went to Mount Sinai for grad school, I had applied to medical school, right? Didn't make it the first time, and that's pretty common. Okay, so that's something you'll find more often than not, and so that's why I did the grad program to become a bit more attractive to medical schools, and then it worked out. From New York. Living in New York, and my goal was to stay in New York, right? Because once you're in New York, you don't leave New York. That's how it is. And so I wanted to stay in New York. I applied to all the New York medical schools, and they all said no because they're all super competitive, right? And so there are, I think, 12 or 13 schools in New York, and then the school, Touro College. To be fair, this is. Oh my God, it's a long time ago. So this is 08, right? So back in 08, actually they opened the school in 07. So they were taking applicants, right? And so and at the time, they wanted people to come to the school. Right place, right time. That's another theme that comes up a lot too. And then it worked out. And so I wasn't able to get into the first class for Touro College in New York, but I said, okay, tell you what, we'll either put you on the wait list for this class, or we'll give you a guaranteed spot for next year. Take the guaranteed spot? Yes. So here's my check, go. I'll take it. And that's how it worked out. So I went into the second graduating class for Touro College, in New York. And so I didn't pick the osteopathic route specifically, right? For me, that's just how it worked out in terms of what school was going to accept me, right? So to be honest, I wasn't necessarily specifically looking for an osteopathic school, right? It was, that's a school that said yes to me. That's where I'm going. Yeah. So.
And once in New York, always in New York.
Yeah. Until the Army came calling. right? And so something you'll see in, in colleges and grad schools and medical schools, there are always going to be military recruiters, right? For medical school, well, and dental school and veterinary school, military has something called the HPSP, the Health Professional Scholarship Program. Okay, so Army, Navy, Air Force offer a 4-year scholarship, up to a 4-year scholarship for medical, dental, or veterinary school. Okay. Obviously, a rigorous application process, right? So you need good academics, obviously, right? And so, like everything, right? Good academics, and also because it's a military service, like there are also other certain, military service requirements that also they also look at, right? And then, like applying for anything, applications, references, recommendations, so that kind of thing too. Yeah, and so yeah, that's how it worked out, and that's how I ended up leaving New York. Yeah.
Sad story,
Yeah.
but ultimately to a good end.
Yeah, but I left New York, so the Army ordered me. They forced me to go to Hawaii.
Oh my gosh.
So it was okay. It worked out okay. Yeah.
If I had to be ordered to go somewhere, Hawaii would be the place I would want to go.
Yeah, it worked out in my favor. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. I think that interesting path you went through, you started from engineering, biomedical science, and landed your way all the way to physician, and then military medicine. So it's just a lesson for all you folks out there that even though you might have a path, always go for what your heart believes in, or like what you think the right path is for you. And so one thing I wanted to touch on leading in, and as we were talking about your transition from biomedical school, engineering, that path into more of a physician in military and medicine role, are there any mentors or people who have motivated you throughout the process?
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly, let's go back in time to back then, right? Way back then, right? And so certainly in college, again, I went to engineering school, so most of my college mentors were very, very hard science, chemistry, physics, engineering types, right? Math nerds. And so lots of good mentorship on being studious, right? On being good in the basic sciences. When I was at Sinai for grad school, I had very, very good mentors there. And so these are like, again, Sinai is where I learned about academia, right? And so something you'll see when it comes to medicine is the dichotomy between academic medicine and private practice medicine, right? And so that's a whole 10-hour talk in and of itself, right? But certainly at Sinai, Mount Sinai in New York City is a gigantic academic institution. And so I was there as a lowly master's grad student, toiling away in the lab, doing pipette work and everything. And so that's where I learned about like academia, right? And my bosses were MD PhDs, right? So doctors who were also researching scientists. And so,
2 in 1.
yeah, so these are people who would go to clinic 3 days a week, and they're in the lab 2 days a week, and then they're lecturing, on these days, right? Doing like everything. And I was like, this is a lot of work. And so I was like, I mean, am I ready for that kind of thing, right? As I'm sitting there trying to apply for medical school, I'm like, I don't know if I could do what those people are doing. I'll be honest, right? And I still, even right now, I might say to myself, I don't know if I could do an MD PhD type of role. And so, I say that only to say that that sense of inadequacy is always going to be there,
Definitely.
right?
That's
And
one
so,
way to put that, inadequacy.
yeah, or a sense that imposter syndrome is always going to be there. All right, so there's always going to be some level of battling that throughout your professional career. But yeah, so Sinai is where I learned about, like, again, academia, what like the real top-notch doctors in their field are doing, right? And that helped me frame applying for medical school. Based on my experience at Sinai, here's what I can bring to the table for your school.
So basically,
Yeah.
you shaped your experiences and made it like a better, I would say, CV for medical school.
Correct. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
touching on CV, I think we were talking about like medical school and how sometimes you have to like put your best foot forward in order to apply to these different medical schools and take your experiences, maybe clinical lab research, medical research, shadowing. So can you touch on how CV plays a role, and did you have like any experiences? I know you were talking about how med school you had to apply again and again. So how important is CV?
So it's important and it's not important, right? And so, you and all your classmates, you all go onto Student Doctor Network, right? And you read the forums, say, hey, I'm a 15-year-old freshman, and I spent 50 million hours in the clinic, right? And I have like a 5 million SAT, and my MCAT is 4 million, right?
I've met a lot of
Yeah,
people like this.
every post is like that, right? And you're like, I can't compete with that guy, right? I can't compete with that girl, right? Like, what the heck? Like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Do those people exist? Yes. Those people are always going to exist in every, like facet of what you're going for, right? And so in medicine, for sure, being a doctor is a very, very type A type of takes a type of person to do it, right? So you'll see a lot of overachievers. Right? I'll be very, very honest. I didn't have much volunteer work experience. I didn't have much of a clinical experience. I didn't have those doors open to me. I didn't have the leg up that other applicants had.
Other applicants do coming from
Right.
backgrounds that may be more beneficial.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So I felt very, very underprepared applying for medical school. When you feel kind of down and out and feel kind of inadequate, right, in terms of application, there are ways to beef that up, right? And so what's the kind of advice I would give to someone who is in that position, right? Obviously, if they're talking to me, I'm going to try to help them out as much as I can. But how do you find someone? How do you find that person, right? How do you find the person who's going to help open that door for you? And
That's what we're looking for.
right, and like, but the reality is, not everyone gets that,
That's true.
right? And so, if that person pops up, right? If I pop into your life, it's, hey, I can give you all the clinical experience you need, right? I'm going to help you out with the medical school application. Fantastic, right? Then you've been given that golden ticket. But if you don't have that,
Then it's basically,
yeah, and then it comes down to some, comes down to making some tough choices, right? I mean, now we're in the age of LinkedIn, right? So sending messages on LinkedIn saying, hey, sir, madam, doctor, sir, madam, can you help me in this way? Or leveraging whatever resource you have at your school in terms of counselors or career counselors, et cetera, all right? Talking to friends and family, if you have those resources available to you and your friends and family.
So basically what I've got from that, thank you so much, doctor, for sharing your experiences, is that sometimes, and I even find this too, sometimes you have to work hard to overcome the obstacles or the barriers that you might have in place. For example, how I reached out to Dr. Yoo myself. So for those who are looking for advice for a little leg up or your CVs, whether you're applying to college or medical school, it's all about the hard work and the effort that you put in there. So thank you so much for that. And moving on, what exactly drew you to specialize in hospice and palliative medicine, and how does this field differ from the general medicine that you see nowadays, or general medicine you see in hospitals, etc.?
The same exact question I was asked during my interview. So first let's go over internal medicine. And so internal medicine, very plainly, is just general medicine for adults. Okay, and I guess a famous internal medicine doctor you might think of is Dr. House, right, from TV from a while back, right? So he's like a classic internal medicine doctor, very analytical, thinking of all the possibilities. Could be this, could be this, could be this. I think it's this, right? And therefore, we're going to do this. That's very much that's internal medicine. A little bit of everything, a very broad scope of knowledge on disease. The patient population is going to be different for every facility or for every hospital. And our facility was an Army hospital, so clearly lots of military folks. We also had a lot of retirees. We had a lot of veterans, right? And so, and usually the internal medicine service, we're taking care of the older, sicker population. And one thing I realized is that, for me at least, in my experience, sure, you can read books and you can diagnose and do that whole thought process that internists love to do, and saying, here's a patient presentation. What do you think is going on? Well, it could be A, B, C, but it could be X, Y, Z because of these reasons, right? And therefore, I'm going to formulate my plan and blah, 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 blah. Diagnosis, plan. That's a hard decision to make. It's a hard call to make, right?
Especially as a physician.
Yeah, and especially because in our job, our inclination is to diagnose and heal and treat and make someone good, right? Oh, you have a boo-boo. I treat your boo-boo. You're good now,
Great analogy
right?
to put in.
Right? And so,
But sometimes it's not the case.
but some people are not going to do well, right? And so, and like, and you'll, and when you're in that situation, when you're in training and residency or internship, you'll know it. You'll kind of have that feeling. It's like, I don't have a good feeling about this person, but you can't say it because your job is to treat, help them, and prescribe medicine and whatever.
That must
And
be
so,
heartbreaking to come into terms of as a physician, like the person you're trying to help and trying to recover is not going to do so well.
right, for sure,
Exactly.
right? And then, but once the team, once you and the rest of the team come to that realization, right, that someone isn't going to do well, then okay, then we shift the direction of the care,
Definitely.
right? And that particular path of like helping someone in their last days of life, like I was like, oh, like this is I like this,
Yeah.
right? Like this is
You
nice.
found the passion
Yeah.
within medicine.
It's like, oh, this person came to the hospital sick. We realize they're going to die, right, which is terrible. And then we help them feel better before they went, and their families felt better because they felt better. The patient felt better. Like, oh, like like that was a very very like I felt that, right? You feel it deep. It's like, oh, that was good. That was good, right? But then the other part of it is palliative medicine or palliative care, right? And I'll be very, very honest. The definition of palliative care is a bit vague. Like it's a bit, in my opinion, it's a bit wishy-washy, okay? But palliative care, relief of suffering for anyone with a serious life-limiting illness, okay? And so, again, if you have a boo-boo on your finger, right, we can treat it and it'll go away. That person doesn't require that much palliative care. You putting the Band-Aid on the boo-boo and kissing it, that's some palliative care. That person did well, right? But someone who we know gets a very, very serious illness, the big one being cancer, right? Let's say someone gets a terrible cancer diagnosis, and so, like this person might not do well, right? And so at that point, what can palliative care's aim is to say, okay, how can we help this person, knowing what we know now about the diagnosis, about how this may affect your life, how this may affect the quality as well as the length of your life, right? Right. So, what can we do to help you throughout this journey? Well, me as the palliative doctor, I have one role, in that team. So one thing you'll realize with in particular for palliative and hospice medicine is very much a team-based approach.
Multidisciplinary.
Very multi-D. Okay, so physicians, nurses, pharmacists, social workers, chaplains. It requires a big team effort to get the care done. Right. So I'm the one who's prescribing medications and prescribing certain equipment. Oh, you need a leg brace. You need this pill for the symptom. Right. The nurses do their job. Pharmacists do their job. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Everyone
Right.
has a little piece of it.
Right. A long answer to your question.
Thank you so
Sorry,
much.
yeah.
I think you hit all the important points. And as Dr. Yoo said, it's about chasing the drive and the passion within medicine, no matter what specialty you fall into. And thank you so much for talking on multidisciplinary teams. And I believe that's one aspect as a physician we should be constantly looking towards in our lifetime. And so moving on to a little bit segments focused on your day-to-day life. Can you describe what your day-to-day life is right now as a physician serving?
So I was prior active duty. So I'll tell you that from when I graduated medical school in 2012. Okay, in 2012, the minute I graduated, I became an active duty soldier. All right, so we did a ceremony, and an officer came in and swore us all into active duty. And so I went to Hawaii, right, and then did that, and then I went to Korea for a year and served at one of the clinics there, being their doctor. And then I was in Massachusetts. You wake up super early usually, right? Well, that's for doctors anyway. You wake up early regardless, right? So doctors, soldiers, is kind of the same. You work out. Because at this point, when you're in the military, you are paid to work out. You should work out. You should work out every day. Okay, it's kind of the usual.
Incentive to be healthy.
Yep. Go show up at work. You put on your uniform. Go show up at work, and then everyone in the military will have a different experience, right? But there's usually going to be, like for me, you sign the clinic and you meet your team, and you huddle with your team, with the medical team, your nurses and your other folks, and say, okay, here are patients for today. This guy over here at 11 o'clock, he needs this, so please get that ready, that kind of thing. So you pre-rounding and you huddle, and then and normally there's going to be some kind of Army administrative thing going on, right? So a meeting or an important email I got to check. The phrase you hear a lot from military folks is "hurry up and wait," all right? And so one of the big stereotypes you'll see. It's not a stereotype; it happens a lot. Okay, so a stereotype for a reason. So, hey, the unit's going to meet at 6 a.m. Okay, we're going to be here at 6 a.m. All right, so tell everyone, tell your team, 6 a.m. here. Okay, so what does that really mean? It means be here at 5:45, right? It means be here at 5:45. Okay, so the boss said 6 a.m., so that means you, 5:45 here. 5:45, okay? And they'll tell their team, okay, 5:45, that means 5:30. Okay, so they'll tell their team, okay, you guys over here, 5:30 here, 5:30 here, so you can be here for 5:45, so you can be here for 6, right? And that goes down the chain.
Yeah.
So then you have people showing up at 5 o'clock, right? For a 6 o'clock meeting.
Oh, wow.
And now that they're at 6 o'clock, okay, we're here at 6 o'clock. We're starting work at 8. A lot of work gets done, but in a short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because brand, it's like basically bursts of energy kind of.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah.
So do you have any ongoing initiatives or communities that you're involved in, any projects that have been directly involved in the community, like community service, or maybe something up and coming?
I guess the only thing I'm really I'm bothering with nowadays, right, is really is military service, right, and so I think that's where I choose to put all my energy, right, outside of my primary job. I have an upcoming deployment. I'm going to Europe. I'll be in Poland, okay, the next month or so, and we're supporting. I'll be there as a medical doctor, right, doing routine care for soldiers who are serving over there. Yeah, so it's a lot of like runny noses and stub toes. Yeah.
I think Poland is an interesting choice because I personally have loved to see Europe and I want to see all of it. Is this your first place visiting somewhere in America? Or
No. So the Army's been good to me, right? And so again, I always tell people one of the good things about the Army, if you're so inclined, right? Some people never want to leave home, and that's fine, right? If you want to leave home, and the military is a great way to do that. And so obviously I went to Korea. That was pretty awesome. And then I went to the Army sent me to Bulgaria. I've been to Romania. I've been to what's it called? Saudi Arabia, Oman. Yeah.
I've seen like the healthcare system in very
Yeah.
variety of
I've been in Qatar, I've been in Kuwait, and interesting places. Again, for me, services has been great because it's given me these cool little, experiences, right? That have, that help shaped, who I am and how I choose to practice medicine.
That's impeccable and amazing. I think the diversity in cultures and healthcare systems you can see in these different countries is amazing and also something you can put in your toolbox as a physician.
For sure.
So that's great.
Yeah.
And touching directly as a physician yourself, in your career, obviously you went through a lot of different backgrounds from engineering to physician through military work. And so along the way, you've definitely had like mentors or people higher up and people also you've been able to mentor. So what are some leadership styles that you adopt or leadership styles that you look for other people?
So one thing I've learned, as I've become more experienced at this, take care of your team, take care of your people, right? And so obviously you should do a good job, right? Obviously you as an individual should work hard and study and do your job well. That's a given. That's the bare minimum of what you should be doing, right? But as you become more experienced, as you get more leadership roles and more or managerial roles, right? Your job is your minimum job is still there of do a good job, right? Right. That's the bare minimum. Just show up. No more show up on time, right? Wear the proper clothes, right? And and do a good job, right? And so in the military, our big mantra is right time, right place, right uniform.
Wow, I love that.
Okay. And so that again, that's bare minimum. But yeah, and so once you're in leadership roles, my thing is take care of the people. One part of my job as a leader is to filter out all the BS that comes from up top, right?
Yeah.
So, there are layers of leadership, right? You'll realize in every organization you're in. So the very, very higher up guy, and then levels of pyramid. So if I can create that good working environment, right? Then again, hopefully the job takes care of itself.
Right here first. So there's no I in teamwork. So it's about building trust and connections between the people who you have to manage and then people who also mentor you. So that level of connection and trust is what builds a great teamwork and good foundation. And so during your early years in medicine, were there any moments of doubt or transformation? I believe we touched on how alienating the different goals and finding out what's your primary resource for going into medicine. So was there any moments of doubt or transformation that helped define your purpose exactly as a doctor?
The big obstacles really were before medical school,
Gotcha.
right? And something that you'll realize, and as you go through applying for medical school and applying for colleges, etc., right? And so, like the process stinks, right? It's not great, right? And so, applying for college, applying for medical school, it's stressful, right? You're like, oh, what's going to happen, right? It's also a lot of money, right? You got to pay for application fees, and so I can't understate that enough. Applying for school, it's expensive, right? And so, if you're lucky to be in a situation where that isn't that big of a problem, then great, right? But for some people, it's like that squeezes monthly budgets, right? Just to apply for school, just applying,
Exactly.
right? And medical school is even worse because the stakes are higher, right? And they take fewer people. So that's one critique I have about the whole system in general. Like it shouldn't be this resource intensive to apply for school. But that's how it is right now. So that's probably the biggest thing. I was able to make the finances work for applying to school, so it worked out. Like for me, I applied to medical school the first time, it didn't work out. It didn't work out, right? So I had to rethink my strategy a bit. And so again, it goes back to me saying about being flexible, being able to expand your, change the goalposts a bit. Okay, say, okay, well, now I'm willing to go to you might want to reconsider going to other areas or some places where you might be uncomfortable. Ultimately, the advice is get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yes, I
Yeah.
love that quote. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah, that helps set you up.
Definitely.
It helps you be more resilient. Okay, so if you're willing to do that, then your chance of success goes up so much. Yeah.
Perfect. You've heard it here first,
Yeah.
right from Dr. Steven Yoo. Stepping out of your comfort zone can go a long way, especially in any career or even any personal obstacle that you have.
Yeah.
One thing that you said that I would like to touch on or reiterate is that home-based care can basically build a personal connection with the patients that you can't see directly as a physician in a hospital or outside setting. So I think
Yeah.
that's one great advantage or tool set that you can keep in mind going into home-based care. And so what misconceptions have you seen in your career about anything that you could wish that you could correct? I think we've touched on a little bit of misconceptions about medical school care in the Army, but are there any last misconceptions that you would like to touch on?
Oh boy.
Keep going.
Yeah. I wish I was in the pocket of big pharma. Right? I wish I got kickbacks from pharmaceutical companies for prescribed medications. I don't, right? Like that'd be awesome if I got money for like pushing certain drugs or certain, right? That'd be great. Like, but that's not how it works. Right? Not all of us are in the pocket of big business or whatever case may be. Yeah. Some people are. Some people do work for those companies, and and that's the job you choose to take. Not all of us have this agenda of you name you name it, I've heard it. Our goal is to diagnose and treat disease and hopefully help you feel better,
Yeah,
right?
that's a great thing to touch on. I think it's
Yeah.
amazing for the young generation and young people going into medical schools to hear about these misconceptions. Okay, and moving on to our fun questions. This is a round that I would like to do, and I do with all my doctors, basically to break out of your comfort zone and for the viewers themselves to see a little bit into your personality. That I believe you haven't heard. I've changed a little bit of them.
Okay.
If you could live in any city in the world for a year, this might be an easy question for you because you've seen a lot of different countries. No strings attached. You can move everything that you have. Where would it be and what would you do there?
Sydney or Melbourne, Australia.
Ooh.
Yeah. So those places are awesome. Man. So I've been lucky enough to travel there and like loved every second of being there. And so like that's a cool country. Australia's a cool country. If you've never been, if you have a chance to go to Australia, take the chance to go to Australia. That place is so cool. I would either Sydney or Melbourne. I'm thinking of places I've visited, but would I like to live there?
I
Ho-
personally
Ho-
want to go there.
Hawaii's awesome to visit. Hard to live there for a year. Like the French countryside is awesome, all right? Like it's so beautiful there, all right? Yeah, I love France, but like this place is great. Would I want to live here? No, all right? But Sydney, like Australia, I would totally live there. I'd live for a year. I go back to Korea for a year. England, yeah, I might do England for a year. That's pretty cool.
That's amazing too.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing us your takes on those fun questions. And some of the answers I agree with. We'll see if the viewers agree with you too. And so now we're moving on to the end portion of our interview. And these questions are more directly for the young viewers out there and tailored towards you guys and seeing experiences and the advice that Dr. Steven Yoo himself can give back to the community. So what advice would you give to young students who either want to get into the medical field, especially in research roles or clinical roles?
So just get good with science and math, right? And so STEM is like everything for these fields. At the same time, like if you're thinking about science, medicine, etc., engineering, whatever case may be, it sounds like you're already good at science and math and those things, right? And so those people tend to be a bit self-selecting, right? And so, I'm going to be I want to go engineering. Okay, so clearly you're good at science and math, right? What I wish I had done back then, when I was super into science and math and chemistry. I was a chemistry whiz, loved chemistry. But then I realized, when I was now I look back on it, like I had always opportunities to read about history and literature, right? Because now that I'm a bit older, now I love history, I love literature, right? And like those kind of like non-sciencey things, right? And like the humanities, right? Like I love like art and things like that. Like so, when I was still learning about, I took an art history class in college because I needed credits, right? That's the only reason I took it, right? I needed credits. And then we took a trip to the museum, but I'm like, ooh, medieval weapons and armor, right? What is medieval weapons and armor? Like, huh? So I was sitting there for hours looking at like armor. I'm like, this is like, something that was made in the 14th century, whatever, by some kind of Swiss architect, engineer or whatever, right? And like, it was like super intricate and super engineering-y, right? So like my engineer mind was like, this is really, really cool. Yeah. And so, like, regardless of where your mind is in a certain field, right? You're going to find similarities or find analogies in other fields, right? Okay.
Only being a cookie cutter person, you're not
Yeah.
being any other person.
Okay, I know you're good at these subjects, but tell me about last time you cried at a movie, right? That's what I want to know, right? Get good with other subjects. Right? Be more well-rounded. Be a Renaissance person. Yeah.
Perfect. I think that's one thing to hear, especially for those, I think, high school students who their main goal is science, STEM. They tend to not branch out to other fields. I think that's a great advice to hear,
Yeah.
especially from someone who's went through that process. So thank you so much for sharing. So moving on to the very last question in our segment today, as this comes to a wrap, do you have any last words or remarks for upcoming youth medical students and students who have went through the process of pre-med going into medical school?
Whatever you're learning about medicine now will be different in 5 years. Okay? And so all the guidelines that I learned back then in medical school, they're completely different now. They've all changed, right? And so something you learn in medical school is like, this is a revolving, the information is revolving. It is an ever-learning process, right? You are never not learning in medicine. And so, obviously you're going to read your books and study your lectures and everything. Obviously you'll do those things. Learn your strategy of how you're going to keep learning, okay? And so whether that's podcasts or YouTube videos or reading journals. I hate reading journals. I don't like it, right? So journals are so dry and boring. I don't like doing it, and so even though I should, right? Because it's how as doctors learn, and so but figure out for yourself like what's a good way for you to keep learning.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. I think that everything that you've laid on here today, all your advice, all your stories, all your experiences has been very beneficial for myself and for any viewers out there. So thank you so much, Dr. Steven Yoo, for the time that you've laid out here today and sharing with everybody. So the work you do as a physician is so beneficial for society today. Can't wait to look forward and see the work that you accomplish in the future.
No, likewise. Yeah, I think you have a bright future as well.
Thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.